Can you see my screen now? Excellent. Okay. So what we did so far, installation, right? The first thing what we did is installation. We did install, and we have gone through the architecture too, right? We looked at the architecture in understanding both the file system of Oracle applications on middle tier, all the components, each directory structure, services, environment files, XML file, which is the context file, and then we looked at the database also, how the schemas are laid out, what schemas are very important for us, what is that we need to know, the best practice to implement and support the environment with respect to the database, and the basic difference between the core database and apps DBA. All that we have seen, including start, stop, and everything. Now, once after understanding these two, the major activity of Oracle apps DBA is the AD utilities. AD utilities is the nerve or oxygen for apps DBA. Many people ask this question. Most of the guys are familiar with what is Oracle DBA roles and responsibilities concerned. Comes to application side, many have this question, hey, what is so special and what is that we need to know to become good apps DBA? I would say 90% of the activities of apps DBA is based on the AD utilities. That explains one should get familiar with AD utilities very well, and one who knows about the AD utilities, they can be the best apps DBA. So that explains the importance of this chapter. And what these AD utilities are, as name says, AD means application DBA, apps DBA. The utilities one should know to set up the environment, maintain the environment. When we say what type of activities that we can really expect from AD utility, since it is so important, so how do you install? Then how do you upgrade basically? How to upgrade the environment? Then comes how do you maintain it? Patching. So upgrade and patching goes hand in hand. Overall, this all comes under maintenance. How do you maintain the environment as a whole? Every activity that we are doing is to maintain the environment basically. They provide various tools to maintain Oracle applications environment. The first and foremost tool is the AD admin. AD application DBA admin. AD admin is the tool, the script which we are going to use it to maintain the environment. When we say AD admin, and again we are saying maintaining the environment, means this is used to maintain the applications environment as well as the database environment also. So many people have this question. AD admin also kind of famous as a word, but where to use this AD admin? Only on application tier. Very important point to understand here. Using AD admin on application environment, can we maintain the database dimension also? Absolutely. So in one word, AD admin must be used on application tier only. Using AD admin from application tier, we can connect to database, right? So we can compile app schema. There are various aspects that we need to really going to discuss with respect to AD admin concern. And one other thing is, from application tier, how are we going to connect to database? We say like, SQL plus apps, for example, right? Apps. Understand here, normally on a server, let's take a server where we have installed our Oracle software and where we set up our database instance related and environment and all that using bash profile. Let's say, for example, the environment is set. What do you mean by environment set? Oracle SID, right? Oracle SID is set to sales database, for example. I can connect to sales SQL plus by saying username and password. Without anything I can connect. But understand here, one server can host multiple instances, right? I can have Oracle SID sales instance can be up and running on the server. I can have accounts database, right? Accounts instance also can be up and running, and I can have HR instance can be up and running on the same server. Possible? Yes. On a same server, I can have n number of instances as long as the resources are supporting. Now question comes, how many variables we can set with Oracle SID? Only one. That means what? Any given time, only one SID can be sourced. That's a basic thing, right? Now question comes, since the server is hosting sales, accounts as well as HR, when the environment is set to sales, to connect to HR, how can I connect? Let's say, for example, connecting to sales, as I said, say SQL plus username and password of the sales database will make the connection, right? If I have to connect to HR, can I do that? SQL plus username and password? No, it will not work. Because this is working based on the environment that is being sourced. That instance it is going to connect. In order to connect to HR, when the environment is sourced to sales, how I should connect? SQL plus username, password, right? Alias. What is that alias? TNS entry, right? Without this, what is this called? Network connection. What is this connection? Local connection. So how do you identify what type of connections we have on a database server? Each connection is a process, right? So I can say ps minus ef grep local equal to, it can be yes or it can be no. Local equal to yes is the one for sales, right? Because that is connected locally. Then anytime we use @alias, this is going to be local equal to no, network connection. I think we all are familiar with this stuff. The point I'm discussing that here is because connecting to database from application tier, how is that going to happen? How are we connecting apps itself? In fact, database itself is going to be on a different server by itself. If you really look at in a real-time environment, database is up and running on a server, physical server, and application tier generally installed on a completely different server. On the same server itself, if you wanted to connect to other instance, we are using network connection. But how come we are able to connect? This is a point I want to explain. How come we can connect without alias by using apps, username and password? That is because of two tasks. Very important thing. To task is set your environment. To task is the variable which is set to the SID, which is set to your TNS entry. So in turn, that is adding whatever your TNS entry it is. So because of that, we are able to connect to database without having any entry to your SQL Plus, like any TNS entry. Automatically it is taking, like that you can connect to GL, AP, or any user, any schema that you want to connect to. Directly you can connect by using SQL Plus apps itself. I hope this is clear. Any questions at this point? Because this has been asked in the interviews also. What do you mean by two tasks? Which is facilitating to connect to the database tier from the application without having any entry while connecting to the database. So AD admin also connects to database itself. So running AD admin requires two system password, system user password, database system user password, and apps password. Right? So I'm going to walk you through step by step. And one other important thing with respect to AD admin, running AD admin can be done interactively and non-interactively. What do you mean interactively, non-interactively? Interactive means you are physically running AD admin by answering the prompts that it is posing, like what is the username, is the environment set properly or not. So what is the first step that we need to do? The first thing that we need to do before you can run the AD admin is the setting up the environment. Where on application tier, which environment file? The consolidated one, the one which starts with apps environment, which is going to be available in your Apple top, as we have seen during our architecture sessions. The first step that we need to do is the set up the environment and run the AD admin, one of the tools of your AD utilities, and provide username and password. And most of the utilities basically will have the similar prompts. So let's talk about the interactive is directly, no brainer. When it is asking the question, you just answer it. Non-interactive is absolutely possible by creating some kind of a defaults file. What is that? Defaults. Defaults file is the file which will have all the prompts are answered. In the sense, what is the system password, what is the apps password, what is your Oracle home that to set to. By the way, what is the Oracle home set on your application environment? 10.1.2, right? Very important to understand, as we discussed during our discussion of our architecture, we discussed it, right? So 10.1.2 is set the Oracle home, and then SID, it is going to ask you, hey, this is your right SID. Once you answer all that, is going to run, it's going to show you the menu of AD admin, which contains almost 20 plus options that we can really use it. These 20 options are for both the application as well as the database itself. When I say non-interactive, as I said, defaults file. Defaults file is located where? Under Apple top, admin, and SID. Here it is. Apple top, admin, SID. That's where the AD defaults file is going to be available. So we give a class called defaults file equal to absolute path and the file name. One other important thing, the answers should be different for a particular execution of the AD admin utility. Then you can create even custom file. That's very important. Custom AD utility file. I can call my default .txt. That you can create too. So the first utility that we started talking about is the AD admin of AD utilities. There are various utilities. So let us see what we are discussing here on the system so that it will be more clear. Let me connect to my apps server here for a minute to see what we are talking about. su-oracle 12, source the environment, start our database. As I said, we can start by using the scripts that are available under appsutil, or we can generally start like our normal database. So general practice, anywhere you see, we are very comfortable using SQL plus connecting as DBA and startup. There are like it's like a similar way, either you use the script or you are running manually the similar thing and then start the listener. So that's all we need to do on the database tier to make sure the database is up and running while starting the services. As we have already discussed, the first thing that we need to start is the database tier, because your application tier services are depend on the database, because database connectivity is required to start the application tier services. So meanwhile, let's go ahead and connect to our application tier to root su-apple mgr is the owner of it. Then this is the environment file that we need to set before we can run AD admin or anything, because without this environment file there is nothing we can do on the application tier. One important file. And let's go ahead and admin scripts home AD start all. See, here it is. This is where we are providing username and password. For that we must have the listener lsnrctl start. That really proves one more time, yes, it is a network connection, obviously, right? See, it said, hey, because the database is unable to contact because the listener is not up and running. So that in turn telling us, hey, this is network connection. So though it is network connection, we are not providing any alias details. That's the point I wanted to discuss. So once we log in, let me open one more session so that I can show you the environment su-apple mgr. Once you set, this is the one I'm talking about, 2 task. If you check 2 task, is that prod? That's how it is going to really connect. Okay. And if I say, see that TNS ping, what is that? Prod TNS entry is containing the details of your database, the port of the listener, of course the service name, right? So is it clear? So using this alias TNS entry, automatically now if I want to connect to apps, I simply say apps and apps. In turn, it is really using that and making the network connection itself. Apps is connected to now the database tier ps-ef grep local. Say this, local equal to no. Local equal to no in the sense it is network connection. If I say apps of over here and check ps-ef grep local equal to yes, right? So that's how you can understand what is local equal to no, what is local equal to yes. Other local equal to no is the services that are connecting to database to start the services on the application tab. So this is the internal mechanism Oracle uses to make the services up and to contact the database from the application tier itself. Okay. The interactive mode of AD admin is just typing AD admin from anywhere. So now it's asking, hey, is your default directory is this is the one Apple top directory? Yes, this is our Apple top, right? So this is up to here. This is a base directory under apps, apps.st, Apple. TechST will contain 10.1.2, 10.1.3 that we have seen already. So now this is the correct one. Yes, this all going to be correct because we set the environment. So we are making sure here the second option that we need to use running ADadmin is all the activities that we are going to run using ADadmin will get logged into a log file itself. If you mention a log file over there, it can take it, like let's say for example I say ADadmin, or maybe let's say my log, or maybe ADadmin10.log. so the log file is going to be created with this. If you just simply say enter, as we know this is the one going to be used to have all that. And see, this is very important to remember. Let's say someone runs some option, someone did something. How do we know what is being done? If not even someone, we did something. ADadmin, we have run it. We have chosen certain options. We did certain activities on ADadmin, and we forgot what we did. No problem. You can go to this log file. It will record every single activity that is being done using the ADadmin. Wonderful log file actually. Like if someone added table space, someone something did that DBA should know, will get posted into alert log file in case of core database, isn't it? That's how we really track it back. That is the reason alert log files are backed up on daily basis on core database side. But coming to application side, with respect to ADadmin tool, every activity that is being performed using ADadmin will get logged into log file. Later point, in order to understand what happened and what is, if anyone did it, or if you wanted to know what has happened with respect to ADadmin, definitely you can go back to this log file and see. I'll show you once we run with this, and how the log file is going to look like, and how it can be very handy and helpful in studying on what happened, right? So this is one important file, and the location of this file is going to be Appletop admin SID log. Okay, Appletop admin SID log is the location. Of course, once we are done, I'm going to show you this log file, how it is recording. Now the next option, it is asking email notification. Email notification when? If there is a failure. So you can enable, the email setup, email server setup must have done on that, so that you can activate, so it can shoot an email. There are various ways to look at how this task has completed. In case of non-interactive, especially. In case of non-interactive also, definitely you'll have the log file. When it is completed successfully, if you want to go back and check what happened, that's good log file. Now something is wrong, then you wanted to get notified, you can use this feature. So we have not set up the email server on this, so that's the reason I'm saying, do you wish to activate this feature? For now, by default itself is no. Say enter. Now comes the batch size. This is for basically database updates. So what is the batch size that we need to really update? In what batch size the update or any task that needs to be done at the database level is going to be decided by this number. Generally, I never seen we are middling with this, like changing 1000 to anything else. So 1000 is good in many cases. So you can leave that as it is. You can say enter. Now see, what is it saying? You are about to use or modify Oracle applications product tables. Look at this. So ADadmin is talking about your Oracle database also. Hey, this is your right database? Of course it is right database. So how are you going to access that? Using Oracle executables in 10.1.2. So your Oracle home is set to 10.1.2. Using the binaries of 10.1.2, you are trying to connect to your production database, SQL plus and all, because we don't have Oracle database binaries on this. So we have this home 1012 binaries. Using that, we're going to connect to our production database. That's the point it is explaining here. Is that the correct one? Absolutely. Yes. Here it is asking for the system schema password. So put the system schema password here. Once that is true, it is in fact connecting it. Okay, so once it is true, then it is going to ask the password for apps. As we discussed, apps and AppleSys must have the same password, cannot have two different passwords. Okay, so put the apps password. Now it is connected, and here it is. This is the menu we're going to see for AD admin, which is very, very interesting one. And it's having various sections. Generate applications files menu. If you want to generate application related files like message files, form files, I'll show you one by one how we generate, what happens and all that. So you can choose anything that you wanted to generate. For example, if you want to generate form files, let's take the second option. Okay, generate form files. And we will be discussing, this is one other important feature that we need to understand, very, very important to expedite the process of AD admin, is by enabling the parallel processing. So this one should be familiar. Parallel processing is to enable more than one process to accomplish the task itself. How many workers? I think someone is turning the pages. If you can kindly mute yourself if you are going through something, I would really appreciate that. There will not be any. Okay, so now we are talking about the parallel processing. Parallel processing is one powerful tool that we need to really concentrate and understand. This is enabled in case a certain option can run in parallel to accomplish the task. Yeah, sounds very good. I wanted to open more number of processes. Again, it almost resembles the parallel processing, parallel max parallel servers that we set on the database side. We have to have enough resources to enable multiple processes. So this is introducing one more, a great tool that is being provided by AD utilities called AD controller. Very important to understand, man. These two tools, because everyone should get familiar with the AD controller. Why? In order to manage these workers, the entire concept of parallelism is based on the manager, based on the options that we're going to select here. How many workers means how many processes that we wanted to enable to accomplish this particular task. How to decide, this is very important. If I have, like, this is dual core, that's the reason it is showing by default 4 workers. This number can be defaulted, depends upon the configuration that we have on the server on which we are running the AD admin itself. So by default it is like if I have 10, it can show like 20. If I have 32 CPUs, which was my earlier server configuration, am I going to use 64? Not really. See, this is where the expertise comes into picture. What number should be there? The best discussion generally among the DBA group is, if I have more memory available on my server, can I have the huge SGA so that I can accomplish all the tasks as quickly as possible? Definitely not. Definitely not that case, because just because you have too many resources available, you cannot deploy too many resources. Again, it boils down to the utter common sense. To construct a simple wall, me deploying 5 workers can accomplish in a beautiful way if they are working together. Assuming they are working together. Just because I have 200 workers, can I deploy 200 workers to construct a small wall? Instead of constructing the wall, they get in fight because space itself is not sufficient. This is the practical exposure I'm telling you. We had an issue, man. Once we migrated from HP to Linux, what happened? We had, we have like, huge memory available on the new server. And under the same impression, we have given more memory to the SGA, assuming that is going to give a great result. In fact, that really killed the system. In my entire career, I never seen production going down 3 to 4 times in a week's time. Not going down, it is like a dead meat. Like, it's not even giving any response. Guess what? Big time chaos in the system, and we end up working with, of course it is a server 1 ticket, working with Oracle. They said, yeah, we know about this. Okay, what is it? Why is it dying basically? Your Linux operating system is so busy in managing that huge memory, because each operating system manages its memory in a different way. They have provided a couple of solutions to overcome that problem. So all I'm trying to say is, just because we have the resources, we cannot utilize it unless the product is capable. Either that is operating system or Oracle, doesn't matter, both are products. Unless the product is capable of managing those resources very well, instead of giving the better performance, it can really kill the performance itself. See, I can simply walk through this, number of workers use that. That's not enough. When we wanted to really work on the production environments, we got to be very careful. Just because I have too many CPUs, normally we don't give that many number. This is also very well tested, actually. So, for example, based on my experience in the based on prior environments and all that, if I have 32 CPUs, maximum I'll give 16 or 17, 20, kind of like, again, this is kind of tuning, isn't it? Tuning will not have a specific number. That's the beauty about the tuning itself. Depends upon the activity, because the dynamics are too many. So you have to test that particular task to that particular environment is called tuning. That's the reason we don't have too many books on the performance tuning. It's all to do with your real-time experience. Based on the situation, no two tunings are going to be same. So I think that gives more idea on selecting how many workers. So how many workers, generally when the CPUs are like 8 CPUs or 6, whatever, like in this case 2 CPUs, 4 is more than enough in fact. So bottom line, depends what number would be good number. Generally 2 per the CPU. That not true in case if you have 32 CPUs. If 32 CPUs, definitely we are not going to go 64. So I might go maximum with like 15, 20. That also must be tested on prior environments. Prior environments in the sense on test bed. Prior environments are ideal. That is not proper testing. On test bed, I must have tested this before we go. So for now, I'll just go with 4 workers to accomplish this task. And one other important discussion will, is associated with this thing is, anytime we run any task with parallelism, then only another important tool called AD controller. Look at the name. Application DBA. AD controller is a tool to manage these processes. All the processes generally named after workers basically. So all these 4 workers are managed by a manager. The moment you enable parallelism, there are the FND install processes, AD default jobs. These are the 2 objects will get created on fly. All the rows will be inserted into that AD install processes. Your manager is assigning those tasks to the workers. Workers are going to accomplish all the task, and they update back saying that, hey, I am done with this job. And then manager is going to assign the rest of the things like phase by phase. Each phase wise the assignment goes on. Once all the workers complete the tasks that needs to be complete to accomplish something, then automatically the install processes and AD default jobs will get dropped automatically. And again it gets to another discussion. While we are running one tool where we have enabled parallelism, cannot run another tool in a parallelism way, right? Because already one task AD admin is running, AD patch can run in multiple processes, right? AD admin, AD patch is another tool that is from AD utilities. AD patch also can run in parallel. Can I run these two tools simultaneously? Definitely you cannot, you should not. Why? Because fnd install processes, assuming that you have started AD admin first, is having the tasks that it should accomplish in the table. So you cannot start one more because it is going to create the table. Understand the point? It is going to create the table. So it will ask, hey, would you like to drop it and continue? If you proceed, that's very dangerous thing. You should never ever do this. So I'll tell you, most of the interview questions are from AD utilities. Why? Because apps DBA must well equipped, well accustomed to run these tools to accomplish the task in a proper way. Now one other thing, while it is running, got disconnected some reason, your AD tools are smart to ask to restart the process itself. Why? Because fnd install processes table still there in the database. Just because your tool got crashed, tool got stopped in between, that is not known to your database, right? Because your fnd install processes is at the database level, which is holding all the tasks that needs to be completed. And AD tools also smart enough to start from wherever it got stopped. So already completed tasks no need to run. So there is so much to talk about AD utilities. Basically it is very sophisticated, proven beyond doubt. And do we need to really do anything? Not required. Automatically when you run AD admin again, if it got stopped in between, for example, automatically it can sense that, hey, the task is not completed properly, because we have a restart file stored on application tier and fnd install process is available. Then it will prompt you, hey, would you like to continue because your last session is not completed properly? If you say yes, and it will continue. If you say no, then it is going to clean up. What do you mean clean up? It is going to remove that fnd install process, AD deferred jobs, and it restarts all that particular task all over. And this is again reminding me one other important question. Almost every apps DBA interviews you can face this. Man, when I am running a patch, let's say for example, while I am running a patch, I realized there must be another patch needs to be updated. Of course, there are prerequisites and all that. In spite of that, you can overwrite. The point I want to make it here, while running in between, if you wanted to stop there and complete another patch and come back, which should be run in parallel, you can back up the current fnd install processes and AD deferred jobs table and start all over that, and you can restore and you can restart that process itself. So there is, and one other important thing with respect to parallelism is, anytime a job fails, for example, first time in a phase there are many tasks, phase by phase it goes on. First time it fails, it is going to defer to the end of the phase. It is going to defer in the sense, is it going to complain back saying that, hey, the task is failed? No. First time when it got failed, it will not report back, because it is thinking that there are some dependent objects in that same phase going to complete. Then it will try, so that the required objects will be available, it can accomplish. Then again second time also failed, and the total run time is less than 10 minutes. Again it is going to defer. Third time failed, more than 10 minutes, then it is going to complain to apps DBA saying that, hey, so and so worker got failed to complete the task that has been assigned to it. So what do? We have to go back to the worker log files. Okay, we have log files for worker. which is placed under Apple top SID log location. There you will have the log files for each worker. Looking at that worker log file, seeing the reason for the problem, maybe table space is full, something like that, then you can extend and you can use AD controller to restart the failed job. So AD controller itself is a separate topic altogether, but we need to understand there is a great mechanism incorporated in order to manage this parallelism. That is the reason I am trying to explain at this point, so that when we really go and look at AD controller options and all that, it will be very clear for you. But point to remember here, whenever we run the task in parallel, then only AD controller can show you the menus. That point to be noted. Okay, now let's proceed. Number of workers here, and it's going to show you the character set. Do you want to generate Oracle Forms objects using this character set? Obviously, because this is required when you enable multiple character sets and all that. So this is the character set we want to use it. Do you want to regenerate Oracle PL SQL library files also, which are associated with these forms? Yes, do that. Do you want to generate Oracle Forms menu files? Yes. Do you want to generate Oracle Forms executable files? It all depends what you want to do. Yes. Now here it is, one other important thing you need to know. Would you like to generate all the products? Like how many products that you have implemented, all the product form files you wanted to generate, because if you say all, it's going to, if that is the requirement, right? So for now, I can generate only account payables and general ledger. I want to show you how to add multiple products. Just mention account payables space general ledger, not comma. Or if you want to do account receivables, right, like that, you can mention as many products as you want. So if it is only one, you can select like that. So here you're going to select multiple products or a single product based on the requirement. Say enter. So generate specific forms objects for each selected product. Here it is, within the product, if I wanted to select only this form, yes, that is absolutely possible. So that's what I'm going to show. If you say no, it is going to generate all the forms objects. So if I say select, so languages, enter the list of the languages. So we have only one US language. That means what? When you implement multi-language, your maintenance time is going to go up. Very important to understand this point. So this is the reason, again the practical example, when we were in the process of enabling multi-language, there was a big discussion whether to enable that language on the same server, on we want to implement the different language on a different instance altogether. Generally things like one database or multiple databases sounds very simple. It's the complex one, because we have to consider various aspects like the maintenance time and all that, the activities that we need to do, the downtime. If you take one, all going to be down if it is one database. So things like that, that's a bigger discussion. So here it is asking, hey, if you have implemented multiple languages, would you like to use for all the languages? Since we have implemented only US English right now, yeah, that's fine. Is this is a correct set of languages? Yes. So now it's asking, hey, this is the GL related. What is that we have selected? AP and GL. This is a GL related one. So enter libraries. If you have more than one, you can select that one because it is choosy. We said we want to choose it. So since there is only one, you can say yes, enter. Now see that it is asking for AP because we said execute it for GL and AP. So specifically one by one you can select it. So if I want to select just for demonstration for you guys to see it, so I can select it only one PLL. Otherwise it's going to take a lot of time to generate it. So you can pick form. See this, these many forms are available for the general ledger. So how many forms that you want to select? All the forms you can select all. By default it is all. I want to select only one, but to see you can select it. Again it displays about the account payables also. Selecting just one for that, and it is going to. So now generating Oracle forms. You see that whenever I say run in parallel FND install processes, what is it saying? Creating FND install processes. So these are kind of on-fly tables will get created only when the process is running. You see this automatically dropping. Once the process is done, FND install process is dropped, and AD default jobs also got dropped, and it's saying, hey, review this message, and we are done executing, because we just gave only 2. So that's a quick one. Otherwise it's going to take really long time. So that's to have an idea. Of course we're going to go one by one option, right? So once you are done, returning to main menu and come out of it, and that's it. And this contains the job timing report. See, this is another important thing that we need to understand. How are we going to calculate how much downtime we need in production environment when you want to really accomplish this task? In fact, number of tasks that we're going to do during our release time, right? So from backend also you can check the timing report of each execution. At the same time, you can even check from front end also using OAM, Oracle Application Manager, the front end tool. So let's go and see what is there in it. So let me open another window to see that. VI, the job timing report. See, it is giving the consolidated information on running this job, how long it's going to take it, so that your planning can be appropriate. So what is that? Elapsed time is 13 seconds. So this is all one need to know very well to complete, to have the information on the apps DBA side. So now the log files basically. So where is the log file is located? Apple top admin SID log, right? AD admin 10 log. So let's go and look at that. CD Apple top admin SID, or you can say 2 task, right? And log. So that is the directory. When you go on say ls-ltr, you see this AD admin 10 log. So that's the one we have used it. You see the workers 1, 2, 3, 4. How many workers we have used? That many worker log files will get created here. These log files come in handy troubleshooting. This is only way that you can really troubleshoot it if any worker is failing. See, this log file is exactly recording what all options that you have given along with the menu options. See that, including menu options, it is showing. This is another, this all can be in interview questions. Like, if someone ran something, man, using AD admin, how will you know what he did? Coming to this log file, you can really understand what happened on the task. So we entered 4 workers. See, come down. See the ones which we have selected. You can easily see all that information. It is actually capturing whatever is going on. See the general ledger form that we have selected, right? So completing task, and all the details about that execution is stored in your AD admin log. So now here it is reading the jobs. So one other thing that you can learn, because these log files are wonderful, man. If one can really spend enough time in understanding log files, we can learn so much about the Oracle applications functionality and various things that we need to know. So coming to reading jobs from FND install processes is one important one. So it is created and then reading jobs from that. So done reading from this, telling workers to read to do, and connecting to Apple's, because we have provided apps password, that is the connecting to apps. Now that even says it is using your database connection, and assign the execution completed. Deferred jobs. Yeah, I think this gives a good introduction on various things that we need to know on AD utilities in general. Okay, of course we're going to study one by one to understand a better. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.